How's it going?
Hey,
Hey there. We are back for our Saturday show right now. Let them run. If you caught us on Thursday night, uh, you got a taste of some of the one horse wonders that Freddie likes here. But we're gonna go through all the races here, and there's 5 races at um, Gulfstream and 2 more Derby races: the Louisiana Derby and the Jeff Ruby Stakes, and those will be in the 6:42 hour, right as I'm getting ready to watch the NCAA Wrestling Championships in
oh
Phoenix.
yeah,
Big
oh yeah,
day there.
oh there. Under the helmet guy saying hello again.
How's it going? How you guys doing? Hey, under the helmet, what's up, buddy? Thanks for thanks for tuning in. You gotta get it. We gotta do a little cross promotion. Get us on there. We get you on here sometime. Send your
Yeah,
information
I
and
checked it out. It's pretty cool.
comments, and we'll get you on. But we're gonna look through some of these races. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the bell. You can read us on Capital Sports Network. We will be now right on Sports Talk Florida, Sports Talk New York Fan, and multiple other sites. Follow us on X. Let them run. And if you're watching wherever you're watching today, you can follow there. So, last week did pretty well,
Yeah,
with both the one horse wonders and the Saturday show. So try to maybe do the same thing here. We start off with a big race. It's a short race. 350
yeah,
race 7 at Gulfstream, the Texas Glitter Stakes, 5 furlongs on turf, $115,000 race. So short race, but big money race. Just kind of lead us into the show with that.
yeah. So again, I'm not going to cover everybody who watched the show on Thursday and got that information about the horses that we picked out as our one horse wonder. In this race, again, being a short race, a couple other horses that I want to look at, just the 2 in particular. The first horse is the number 1 horse, Turbulent Force, being ridden by one of our favorite jockeys, Dylan Davis. Tyler Gaffalione has ridden this horse to victory twice. Of course, Tyler Gaffalione right now is down in Fairgrounds for the big day that they're having down there. The jockey change is kind of, I call it like a lateral change. Going from Tyler Gaffalione and Dylan Davis, no big deal. The horse has won both races in his starts, right? He won both his races. Got a good trainer, George. We call him George Dreamweaver, training his horse. He won his first time out on turf, went to synthetic, came out there in first again. George Weaver is 20% this time of the getting a horse ready off a layoff. The only slight negative is George Weaver going from synthetic to turf is like 0 for 14. I still don't look at that as a terrible negative just because you got Dylan Davis. The horse knows how to win. He loves to get to the wire. He's a front runner. There may be some other speed in here, but I just think that that horse has got a big chance to take this home, along with the 6, who's probably going to be fighting for favor with the 7. The 6, no evidence, being obviously aggressively written by Paco Lopez. You can expect a really big pace duel up front. But those are the other horses I think have a pretty good chance in this race. Again, it's a small field. It's a bit, like you said, big stakes race, the biggest race on the card for Gulfstream Park, and a heck of a way to start the pick 5.
Yeah, definitely. And as you can see here, I have the Sports Talk New York Fan site up here, and on the page there, you say bet $5 exact key 7 over 162, $15 total. Remember, go on to the X account, let them run, and Fred will be posting the pick 5 later as well. So the pick 5 doesn't start till 3:50. So after the show ends, you're gonna have a little bit of time.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Race 8, 4:20 Eastern, claiming 10,005 furlongs to the synthetic. We go, and same distance. I know you talked about a horse last week or sorry, the other night.
Sure.
And it looks like there's been some scratches
Yeah,
here.
we lost the four. We lost the four. Happy ride. The four is out. The one is out, and the three is out. So the field went from a field of 8, Sean, to a field of 6. But the big scratch was one of our horses, the 4, who was being ridden by Paco Lopez, had a real front running style. However, as we say, when we do these races, when we review these races at this time on a Saturday, the scratches are out. And the scratch of the 4 not only took out one of our horses, but has me leaning to another horse that I don't even think I had him on our list. But after that scratch, I really like him a lot because now the 5-horse American, of course, okay, very patriotic right there, ran his last race on synthetic at a much, same level as this, claiming 10,000. Didn't really have a great trip. Looked like he was just kind of moving in place. Colin Marag, who is the trainer, is putting I think it's his brother, Raj Marag, on him. So trainer jockey relationship there is kind of nice. But with the scratch of the 4, the 5 American, of course, becomes really the true lone speed in the race because he is by Brisnet early pace. He's the only E in the race. And to me, that's big. And now he went down from 8 horses to 6, got rid of one of the bigger horses. So I would definitely use the 5 in a lot of your picks. He's also the number 1 prime power, which we always talk about. So definitely want to use that horse as well in that race, Sean. Again, should be interesting to watch it. Again, the field got a little bit watered down with a couple of scratches, but it's okay. Made me fall on a horse that I might like a little better.
Yeah, that's always interesting when you see the scratches. And remember, when we're talking Thursday night, or if you're reading these stories on Thursday nights or Friday or Saturday morning, you got to make sure you're checking in. Always check the scratches, always check the weather conditions, stuff like that. Because that very quickly. Race 9, 4:50 Eastern time. Optional claim 25,000, 1 1/16 mile, long race to the back to the turf. Interesting race here. The 4 and the 11 scratched.
Yep.
Is there was a 13 in, or did the 13 get in?
The 13 is in, as far as I know. Yeah, I mean, I looked at my. Let me double check, but that's a big in.
Was that also eligible, or did that horse always in?
No, he was an AE. He was AE. He got in because of the scratches. I just want to double check to make sure, because when I looked just before, I took the scratches. But looking at I can look at this race right now on TVG just to double check. I don't want to give out any information that might not be correct. So in the 9th race at the lovely Gulfstream Park down in Hallandale, it's almost as warm here as in the Hallandale Beach right now today. It's about 65 here, thank goodness. So that's good. The 13 Midnight Concerto is in. So that is a big
odds.
Also,
interesting odds too, 5-1.
Well, I have in my notes, again, looking at the race even before, because I do this on a Monday or Tuesday when there are no odds posted. I like a horse, and I really like this horse if he was going to get in. I mean, he's dropping in class. He won his last 2 races out at the same distance. He loves to find the wire. He's a Northern Invader. We like saying that. He's coming in from Aqueduct, Saratoga, up north. So been in some good races. I definitely wouldn't leave him out now that he's in. When an also eligible gets in, you always, Sean, you always got to pay attention. And as you mentioned, he really is a horse that should be paid attention to. And the other horse that I kind of, there's a couple of horses that if you look through the racing, the past performances, the 5 North End Lady, who is one of our horses, not our one horse wonder horse, but one of the horses to check out. Another I call him a Northern Invader, coming from up north, from the colder weather down to some warm weather. Race at Aqueduct, Saratoga, etc. Paco Lopez is on him. He's taken again a big drop in class. I use the angle on this horse, which you hear a lot of handicappers use, Sean, called the light bulb finally went off here. He took 8 races to break his maiden, but when he broke his maiden on turf at a mile and 16th, he looked really good. He had Saez on him and won at Saratoga, where you're going to get the best horses every day going up to Saratoga every week. And he had a little trouble in his last race. It was an allowance $80,000 race, big time race. Now he's dropping down into a claiming race, optional claiming, 25K. Big drop. I think he's got a big chance. One other horse that I think that has another big chance, another possible selection to look at is the 9 Escape Room. A very consistent horse, has raced 18 times, won 4 times, came in second 6 times. His last 6 races, he's come in either first or second. His morning line is 8-1. So if you're building an exacta trifecta, you definitely got to use that horse, Sean.
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. And I just I sent Under the Helmet. He was asking about, do we have any tips about sports podcasting here and how to grow? Look, I mean, we just started this about 2 months ago, so
Sure.
it's just just keep doing what you're doing. But I put my email in there. Send me an email. Obviously, I can help you.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Get you on some sites here. Obviously, I'm the editor for a bunch of sites, so get your stuff on there and get you seen a little bit more. But I just think just keep doing what you're doing, and hashtags important, obviously.
Well, you always mention that to me, and as I am also, a newbie in this. I mean, I'm very passionate about horse racing. I love watching other individuals and listening to their podcasts. There's some great ones out there. I think that's another way to learn is, looking at some of the guys who have been doing it for a while, and there's a lot of good ones out there. But my passion, our passion, for horse racing is pretty clear here. And obviously, we've got some good exposure thanks to Sean and your experience, and certainly as an editor for many of the sites you mentioned. We just got to keep building. Yeah.
That's me, guy. That's me, my guy. That's me. I am Capital Sports, man. I'm Sean from Capital Sports. That's me, my guy.
That's funny.
Who? What's your name, man? What's your name? I got to try to figure out who you are. But yeah. Make sure you send me that stuff. Race 10, we'll get you going. Race 10, 520 Eastern, claiming 35,000, 5 furlongs, short race again. Kartik. Yeah, what's up? What's up, Kartik, man? Yeah. What's up? It's Sean, man. How's it going? Yeah, Kartik from Robbinsville. He does a lot of stuff.
Cool.
We did the Robbinsville. Yeah. I remember, Kartik. Thanks for watching, man. Cool. Back to synthetic, 5 furlongs. I know, we talked about this the other night. I'm sure you're going to talk about your lookout bet here because it's a lookout bet. So if people didn't watch, and let's see, just the one scratch, 2, right?
That's all I got is the scratch of the 2, which makes this a field of 8. The scratch of 2 is somewhat significant in that he did have some early speed, and being close to the rail, he was probably going to go ahead and push. A horse that I really, besides, again, the number 5 Running Rocket, 9-5 morning line, Brian Lynch, Junior Alvarado, going to attract a lot of attention. The horse loves Gulfstream Park. He loves the distance. He loves synthetic. It's hard to look past him. However, I'm going to take a little look past him, and I really got a little more intrigued when I looked closer at the 7-horse Masked Man, again being ridden by our guy, Double D, Dylan Davis. Dylan Davis getting on him for the first time. Previously ridden by Ruiz, who is in Gulfstream Park. Previously ridden by Johnny Velasquez. Irad Ortiz had some good jockeys on. Dylan Davis steps right up to the plate. What's interesting about this horse is, with a lot of speed in the race, he's not a need to lead type. He doesn't need to be in front. And if you look at his last 2 races were on turf, he put up some very good buyer speed figure numbers on turf. But then you go back to the 2 races before that, he won both of those races at 5.5 furlongs on synthetic, and both of them were at Gulfstream Park. This race is a little shorter. I'd say there's maybe a slight concern because he does like to come from behind, but he's not a 5-6 lengths off the lead kind of horse. If you look at that, he's 1-2 lengths off, even less. Excuse me. And he he gets to the wire. And again, putting Dylan Davis on him, that's putting a pretty good jockey in control there for trainer Kent Sweezy, who hits at 28% on synthetic. So he kind of knows how to get a horse running on synthetic. So at 8-1, that's some serious value in a short race like this. Again, with one of the better jockeys that is in Gulfstream Park, Sean. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting race. That's the race we talked about with all the war themes: Running Rocket, Power Attack, Highly Flammable, Banded Rocket, and race 11 has race 11 has a few more as well. Weaponized. Race 11, 552, maiden special weight, $94,000 race. 1 1/16 mile back to the turf. So big field here. The 13 did not get in. But
big field of 12. Yeah, that's big. A lot of maidens. Excuse me. First, I think there's only one first-time starter, and that's the horse. No, I'm sorry. There's two first-time starters. The one on the rail, and then the other first-time starter is the number 8 horse. It's a tough race. I mean, it's a tough way to end a pick 5 sequence when you're looking at a maiden race, long race, 1 1/8 on the turf, or 1 16, sorry, on the turf. I looked at a horse that's got some experience, probably the most experience in the field, which we talked about on Thursday. The 7 horse is the most experienced horse on the field. Again, getting Double D, Dylan Davis on him, closed well in both of his last outs on the turf, or time before that was dirt, but he closed well in his last outing on turf, looked very professional doing it, and gets Dylan Davis on board for Jose D'Angelo is a good trainer. A couple interesting things. I know last week, Sean, there was in that race where we had the 8-1 horse that got bet down to 9-5. That was the race that had that $3 million first-time starter in there who unfortunately didn't run very well. Well, there's a bunch of price horses in here too. The one horse out of a gun runner is a $650,000 horse. There's another $1 million horse in here, the 4 horse, which is being ridden by Junior Alvarado, trained by Bill Mott. And I think there's one other horse here that was quite. I think those two are up there, a couple of 350 for not cheap. That's why it's a main special, but you're going to get quality horses. But that's the other horse I wanted to take a look at was the 4 horse, McCorvey. Bill Mott put him on dirt. I guess he thought, when he saw him running on dirt, he felt he was more of had a more turf action. I mean, Bill Mott knows what he's doing. So if he puts that horse from turf to dirt, I think that horse has a pretty good chance. He's worked him out a couple times on turf. Junior Alvarado and Bill Mott win a lot together. And he's 15-1. And so that's definitely another horse to take a look at. The number 6, Golden Channel, was the morning line favorite at 3-1. He's got some experience. His last 2 times have been on turf. He hasn't really run very well. He just recently got gelded, so that's a change. He's put in, some work. Like I said, he's worked a couple times already. But as a morning line favorite, there's got to be some reason, I guess, why the odds makers looked at that. His last race at 7.5 furlongs, he got out and showed some speed, so he's very likely to show speed again. Joe Bravo was on him for the second time. That's another horse to look at. So again, if you're looking for some horses to try and get some value, that's a horse that you might want to look at. And the other horse that is getting a lot of interest, as I listen to some of my other podcasting friends and handicappers, the 12 horse Egyptian, 9-2 morning line, trained by Brandon Walsh, ridden by Luis Reyes. He got a complete makeover, gelded, Lasix, second time out. He got beat by one of our horses that my friend Tommy T, one of the bartenders at the Hybos, owns a couple different horses, has part ownership. Got beat by Walking in Memphis in that race. And Walking in Memphis is a very good horse. That was a 1 16th on turf. He hung right in there with that horse all the way, all the horses in the front, but just lost a little action at the end of the race and couldn't seal the deal. But he might be sitting on a big race. A tough post. Tough post with no scratches. Excuse me, with no scratches, 12 post is a tough post, Sean. But he's worth a look.
So that was the last of the 5 pick 5 races at Gulfstream. So now we change our attention to the 625 at Turfway Park, the Jeff Ruby Stakes. It's race 12, 1 1/8 mile all-weather track. Interesting that a Derby race is going to be run on Tapeta.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard enough people mention that or talk about that. Or, I mean, obviously they're there because it's worth $777,000 is the purse. Interesting number that they put 777 together. I'm sure they did that for some, a marketing kind of thing. A $777,000 race, so that'll bring a lot of horses in, and it did. The number 9 Poster, 3-1 more than 1 favorite, likely to be the favorite. I'm looking at a horse that I think has a big shot in here. The number 4 Final Gambit. He's 10-1. He's Brad Cox's only entrant in this race. So Brad Cox looks at a horse and says, I'm putting him in this race. He must have a good feeling for this horse. He's going to get a lively pace. There's speed in this race. Luan Machado, who's riding this, is one of the better jockeys at Turfway Park. His name doesn't jump out like Irad Ortiz or like Tyler Gaffalione or Luis Saez or et cetera, et cetera. But if you look at his stats down there in Turfway Park, he's pretty good. So I look for him to come in with a very strong closing kick. That would be my pick in that race, Sean.
Very interesting, and it's a pretty big field. Fairgrounds, race 12, same race, 642, the Louisiana Derby, 1 3/16 mile, grade 2, $1 million purse. Once again, another big race here. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I looked at this again a little closer after Thursday night's edition. There have been no scratches to the best of my knowledge. I checked the racing updates a little while ago. Didn't see any scratches. One of the statistics that's interesting is 5 out of the last 6 winners of this race came out of the Rebel Stakes, and there's a couple horses in here who came out of the Risen Star Stakes. 5 out of 6 last races, last time this Louisiana Derby was run, 5 of the 6 winners had previously the race before ran in the Risen Star. They didn't win the Risen Star; they just ran it. They won the Louisiana Derby, and one of the horses I like is one of those horses. Obviously, number 1, John Hancock, very speedy. 2 for 2, going to get a lot of action at the windows. Very necessary, very likely. He should. The number 2 horse is the horse that I like, a Chunk of Gold. Again, being ridden by a jockey that does very well down at Fairgrounds. If you follow Fairgrounds, you bet Fairgrounds, Jareth Loveberry is a very good jockey down there, and he is aboard the number 2 Chunk of Gold. Being trained by Ethan West, again, a good trainer down there in Fairgrounds, if you know a lot about that area. He was purchased, Sean. We're talking about these other horses we saw last week. A horse that got purchased for $3 million. The maiden special weight, the last race, 11 at Gulfstream Park, $1 million horse, $650. This horse, Sean, $2,500 they got it for.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, the horse doesn't know how much he got bought for. He obviously he's running very well. He ran his first 2 races on synthetic, first at 6 furlongs, then he did a straight mile. Got a little better each time, but then really stepped up when he tried dirt for the first time at Fairgrounds at 1 1/8. So it came very strongly to finish second. He wasn't going to beat the winner that day because Magnitude was just a great horse. He wasn't going to beat him, but he came in second, by 9 lengths. Again, had a really troubled trip to start, got banged around a little bit. But I think if he gets a clean break, he'll try and save ground. I think I'm going to take a big shot with him. I like his odds at 8-1. I think he'll probably be bet down a little bit. I mean, his last race, he actually beat one of the Derby, favorites that's up there in probably the top 10, Built. He beat him in the last race. But there was a lot of little bumping going on early on. So I think a couple horses, including Built, may not have had the best start, but he ran really well. So I would certainly take a look at him.
All right. I think it's once again, we have, this is the start here, I think this week, and then next week, basically the next 3 weeks, huge Kentucky Derby prep races. I think next week and the week after, there's three major races in that between 5 and 7 o'clock hour in the East Coast. So make sure you're kind of tuning in to check that out. And I see we have a lot of
Also, this week these two races are the first 100 points races. So these races are essentially even the second place at 50 points. I mean, the first place winner is definitely, a win and you're in. You got 100 points, you're in if you want to be in. Second place, 50 points, probably going to be close. But essentially, these from here on in up until the last Derby prep races, they're essentially win and you're in, Sean. Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll see, we'll be going over more of those and breaking them down, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So just make sure you stay tuned. I see we have a lot of people watching from the two X accounts here, mine and Jim Williams. So
great.
Thanks for tuning in here. All right. Well,
I want to thank Jim, Sean, real quick. Thank Jim for that awesome intro, and you'll see our outro, which will come up when we say goodbye. Pretty cool. So, Jim, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jim, and thanks for helping out and getting this stuff up when we needed you to. And thanks for everybody for watching. And
let's get some winners. Let's get some
winners. Stay tuned. Make sure you tune in every week. We're gonna be pumping out some content here soon and getting to me some more tracks. So
great. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks for watching.